So, like, my favorite prayer is a super short prayer, because I like to think that God knows everything that's going on with me. But I'm going to talk about love today. Now, it's not going to be super long, but one of my favorite scriptures comes out of 1 Corinthians 13, and what it describes what love is supposed to be. The other day I was talking with one of my friends, and I was talking with someone, and we talked about love and the flaws in people. And then I talked about my dad. So my dad isn't the perfect dad, but to me he is. The one, as I grew up, he was like a heavy disciplinarian. I couldn't do a lot of stuff. I had a 9 o'clock curfew, I had a 10 o'clock curfew. My senior year, I was lucky to be out till 11 o'clock. And, you know, once in a while he would let us do our own thing, but he made sure that we grew up right. He made sure that everything we did, we would benefit from it. And so, I remember I told this story before, and the worst thing for me in high school, I did a lot of dumb stuff in high school. I mean, I didn't go out and party, but we did stuff like stealing fire extinguishers and spraying them around outside the school.
I did that before.
I
broke a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, don't do it. It's a federal offense now.
So was then too.
We did a lot of dumb stuff. We pepper sprayed like the girls' health room. Yeah.
You pepper sprayed that?
Yeah. People can choke on that, so I wouldn't do that either.
How about tear gas?
No, we didn't do any tear gas. But when they called my parents, the worst thing for me was anticipating what my dad would do. You know, the discipline part wasn't so bad. It was wondering what he was going to do when I got home. He would ground us a lot of the time. When I was little, he started spanking us, but when I got older, it was just a really hard cuff to the head, and then get me grounded. And then I finally went off to college, and I've never drank in high school, and I tried it one time in college, and it happened to be here. I was home, you know. I got messed up, and I don't know what. The next day, I don't know what drove me to think I can, you know, sneak by my dad while I was like that. So, but I walked by him, and he looked at me, and I had one sock on, and so, you know, he watched me as I walked by and went downstairs, and later on he let me sleep it off for a little bit, and then he called me. He was like, you know, my family, I have a nickname of Bubs, and if he called me Bubs, I know I was pretty good, I was good. But if he called me Brandon, or Brandon Lee, or Brandon Lee Mauai, then I was scared. I didn't want to go upstairs. But he called me up, he was like, Bubs, breakfast is ready, he said. And so I was thinking, oh man, what am I going to tell? I was trying to make up a story of what happened or something. Then he said, come up here and eat breakfast. They don't feed you this good in rehab. You know, he cracked a huge joke about it, but he knew that me trying something was almost inevitable, being away for college. So, love. He's, to me, I love my dad to death. He's one of the, if you ever got to meet my dad, you would think, you would see why I was kind of scared of him when I grew up. But he's pretty alright. He's an alright guy. But this is what love is. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it is not boastful, it is not conceited. Love is not acting properly, it's not selfish, it's not provoked. Love does not keep records of wrongs. Finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth, hears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. That's what love is. I talked about, one of the things that I've talked about is perfection. You know, if I see somebody that I love, it's flawless. It's perfection. No, you don't throw that word around. You might have a flaw, but I'm not going to see the flaw. Because, if I love you, it can be blinding. And so, it's one of those, when God created us, we're all flawed. But He's got that fatherly love. I'm going to tell you, there's a story called the parable of the prodigal son. And this is like, I compare my brother and I to this with my dad, but the prodigal son, this guy had 2 sons, and he gave them each an estate and sent them out. One guy, did everything that he should with the land and everything, and then the other one ended up going, partying, gambling everything away. One made right choices, the other one made wrong choices. But the prodigal son, the guy that went out and did everything the dad did not want him to do, he blew everything away. He had nothing left. If I went out and I've done that, I'd be scared to come home. Nobody wants to come home. In our family, we have this whole pride thing. I won't go and ask my dad for anything. I won't. We have a lot of pride, and sometimes it's a flaw to have a lot of pride. But you don't want to come back. But this son, he comes back after blowing everything away, and literally comes crawling back to his dad, wanting to work, earn his keeping. And his dad helps him up, throws this beautiful jacket on him, kisses him, and says, "Welcome home." It gives you an idea of the love. It doesn't keep track of any flaws. It doesn't keep track of wrongs. Love is patient. Love is kind. Whenever I talk, I like to talk about. I always work a story of my son into my talks. And he's like, if you get to know Innocent, he's got like a crazy personality. And every time I see my son, I make it a point to tell him that I love him. Because even though I might be flawed, even though I do something that not everybody else might like, my son still loves me and I love him just as much. I told a story about him when he was first born. And I was kind of chilling in bed. I fell asleep with him in my arm. I'm kind of a restless sleeper, but that night I slept still. I held him in my arm. And then when I woke up, he was gone. And so I was super mad. I was pissed off. I told Angela, I said, this is me quiet. I said, where the hell did my son go? And she said, they took him. And so I got up. I was still in my pajamas consist of a cut-off shirt and trunks. And so I got my slippers on and I walked down the hallway looking like, bat out of hell. And I just stood there in the window, and I stood at the window just staring at her. I don't know, I must have had my forehead against the window and just staring at that lady. And he was crying and I was just looking at her, and I must have looked creepy or scary or something. She came up and she's like, "Is this your son?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." "Here, sir, you can take him back if you want." So she gave me him back, and I actually walked him back to the room. And she said, Angela said, "Oh, you got him back. What'd you say?" I didn't say anything. I was just looking at her, and she gave him back to me. It's one of those things that I didn't think about it at the time, but it was pretty funny. But that's what love is. We always sing these songs, listen to songs, we always sing songs about love. We always tell people that we love them. We're always being loved. However you use it. That's what love is. But God loves us, For Him to continue to try to reach out to us after everything we've done, that's love.